Hey, what's up, my friends? Todd Falcone here, and welcome back to the Fearless Networker Show. And today I've got a very special guest with me, and we're going to have some fun because we're going to talk about referrals. We're going to talk about building relationship capital, which you guys know is one of my favorite subjects. And interestingly enough, today I've got the CEO of BNI, Business Network International, which is the largest lead sharing, referral generating organization in the world. I think they've got like 11,000 plus chapters around the world. You've heard me talk about BNI before, and most of the time I'm interviewing successful network marketers in the field and sometimes C-level executives. And in this case, I've got the CEO of BNI with me today, Mary Kennedy Thompson. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, Todd, for the kind introduction. I'm really looking forward to a great conversation. Networking, I don't think people realize the importance of networking and growing their business, especially in today's world when it's so tough sometimes to have a big presence in the digital world in some places.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. Most of my audience, so we had a little brief chat before we started today's show. I'd probably say 90% of my audience are entrepreneurs in the network marketing space, the direct sales space. The remainder of those people are people in real estate, finance, mortgage, professional salespeople, small business owners. And, I talk about relationship building all the time. And it's interesting. I'll share something funny with you. I was with a car dealer years ago, and we had done some business together, a couple deals, and we both consider ourselves professionals at the time. And he goes, "Hey, man," he goes, "I've never asked you for a referral." And I looked at him and I
It's
go,
crazy.
"I've never asked you for a referral." And we had a chuckle. And we were both kind of like, we're both considering ourselves sales pros at the time. And neither one of us, and we both enjoyed each other's company, doing business with one another. And we never had asked each other for a referral. But that was like an epiphany for me very early on in my sales career. So obviously we know referrals are a powerful tool. So I guess let's dig into it. So why are referrals such a powerful tool in any business that somebody's looking to grow?
Yes, well, and just to back up just a bit on that question, um, the magic of BNI is that we have a weekly meeting, and some of our best members are real realtors and mortgage loan officers and attorneys that do real estate law, because they live by those referrals, as an example. And so the magic of ours is the discipline of the weekly meeting. And you talked about this just a minute ago, Todd, is that you never thought to ask for the referral. And we teach, and through this discipline meeting, it's like joining a gym, and you join the gym and then you don't go, or you join the gym and you get a trainer and you don't do the stuff he tells you to do. And so you don't grow and you don't do. The power of a referral is having discipline to always ask for it. So in our meeting, there might be about 35 to 40 people in a chapter. And we go around, and when I say, "Hi, I'm Mary Thompson. I have ABC Plumbing, and this is where the area I cover. And my ideal client or customer is someone who lives in the Ballantyne area that has a home with trees around it, and the tree roots are going into the lines, and they're probably telling you something, Todd, like, gosh, my kitchen sink just doesn't drain the way it used to. And so please refer them to me because I can take good care of them." And so the power of referral is, it's me telling you, I know this person and I think they will take good care of you. And business is much more personal than we give it credit for. And I want to do, you do business with people you know and like. And if I know and like you and you refer somebody, just because I know and like you, I'm more likely to take that referral and trust in that. And I tell everybody, trust is at the heart of a referral. And referrals, at BNI we have generated in the last 12 months, $25.8 billion in member-to-member generated business. We track it. We have an app and we track it.
Wow.
Because the tracking, I know I think there are 100 countries in the world who do less GDP than that. And so
Wow.
for us, it's about growing our members' businesses. So the power of referral is that it's this implied trust. I know and like you, you recommend somebody to me. I'm going to be very likely to choose that and frankly, probably have a better experience, because you're not going to refer somebody that because we know each other, we see each other regularly. You're not going to refer somebody that you think is going to do a bad job for me.
Yeah, no doubt. Actually, let's do this. Let's actually back up one more time, because I don't want to make the assumption that everybody here really understands or knows BNI. I mean, it is the largest referral company in the world. I mean, you guys are not just in the US, you're all over the place. Can you explain to my audience, just so that, I never want to make any assumptions. Oh, everybody knows what BNI is and is in a BNI chapter. What is BNI? What types of people go? Why should someone who's in business join a BNI chapter? What are they going to get out of it?
Thanks for asking that. So at BNI, you touched on the fact we have about 11,200 chapters that represent about 340,000 members in 78 countries across the globe. Just a little bit about us. And if you decide to be a BNI member, the people who are BNI members are typically small and mid-sized businesses that are looking to grow their business and are looking for various avenues. So in our data says for every dollar that a member spends in dues, they get about $73 in closed business. That's a great ROAS, or return on ad spend, or return on ROI. I mean, there are very few places I've seen that can deliver that. And it varies by industry and chapter. My chapter runs about 1 to 81, but there are some variances. And so you join this chapter because you're looking to grow your business. And let's say you're a plumber, let's say you're a realtor, let's say you're a massage therapist, and let's say you sell services like paychecks, and small businesses all need those services. And you might be a photographer. And so there are about 35 to 40 people in your chapter, only one from each industry. So you're not competing within your chapter for anybody. And then we go around and we meet every week, and we're disciplined about it. We say, we don't want you to miss meetings. We want you to do one-to-one meetings, which are some of the best ways you get referral business, is like you and I are doing. You sit down and take 30 minutes. They tell me about yourself, tell me about your business. What do you do best? And one of our values is called Givers Gain. We believe, and at every level of our organization, from our members all the way throughout our organization, is that if you give first, everything else comes your way. So instead of, if I'm meeting with you, I'm not thinking about, can you give me business? I'm thinking about, how can I give you business? Because when I do that, there's a reciprocation that happens. And so, the discipline and rigor of going to those meetings, and I know everyone. I actually belong to a chapter. I know everyone in my chapter. I know who they are. I know how they do business. There's a photographer in my chapter. She did my headshots, and she did a remarkably good job on my headshots. There's a chiropractor who I use, who takes great care of me. And I love that because I learned about them and I knew what they do. And then I've referred friends to them as well. And to me, the way I like to compare it is, if you join a chamber, and most businesses need to and should, and you have the BNI membership, you might meet with your chamber once a month, and there's usually a mixer, and I put on a sticky name tag that is peeling off, and I forgot to put what I do, and you and I are sitting across, and I forgot, I should know what you do, but I can't remember because I haven't seen you in a month. And I say, hey, Todd, how are you doing? And it's like, great, how's business? And I'm hoping you're going to tell me what your business is. You go, business is good. And I say, business is good too. And you can't remember what I do. We talk for a little bit. No one has taught us how to ask for the referral, which is what you said earlier, is how, and that's why the Giver's Gain is so important, is like, Todd, what business are you looking for? How can I help bring somebody to you? And so we don't do that. And then the next meeting, I miss it because I had something going on. And so I don't see you for 2 months, and we start this all over again. But at BNI, every single week, you're hearing from the same people, and you're hearing what their ideal referral and what they're looking for. And you're thinking, how can I get work to them?
Wow. It's so crazy talking to you this morning, because like my audience knows, those that are plugged into me regularly, I talk about, again, the art of building relationship capital. People do business with those that they like and trust. And I mean, even as I'm sitting here, the house that I live in where I'm recording this, like the realtor that sold me this house, I mean, she literally did this deal in a day. It was probably one of the easiest sales she ever did. I've never heard from her once post transaction. like
It's
0 time.
amazing. Yes.
She'll never get a referral. I mean, but what she's given me is content too, and I'll never throw her under the bus and like mention her
No.
name publicly, but it's interesting. But on the other hand, like this woman, Donita, when I was living in Seattle, I did multiple deals with her, and she's done such an exceptional job of maintaining contact with me, even when I was living in other markets that she doesn't do business in, whether it's a card, whether it's a phone call, a text message, saying something to me on Facebook. And I would readily right now, if somebody was looking to buy a house in the Seattle area, boom, oh, you got to use Donita. And it's just such so different from one another. And what I want to ask you is like going back to like this conversation that I had with John, who was my car dealer guy, like literally 30 something years ago. And I think there's a lot of people that struggle with this. Like I run an accountability program that I've been doing for 16 years, and
Wow.
it's designed to, we do it every quarter. I've got 792 people in the one that I'm in right now. And these are all people that sign up because they want to do more. They want to be more consistent. They want to be more productive. And the one of the weeks we talk about, list building and lead generation, and referrals is part of that. And I've taught this for so long, like even on my phone, like something as simple as taking, on like 8-point font, just
Yeah,
who do you know, tape it onto your phone. And I got this one
I
guy who's
love
actually
that.
with a networking real estate company in Seattle, and he sent me about 3 months ago a picture of his BlackBerry. We're dating ourselves. I don't
Yeah.
even see
Yeah,
Blackberries
I
anymore.
remember those.
And he was like, and it was all yellowed. And he's like showing me this picture because I was at a seminar and speaking and I was teaching this. And I love it when people take what you teach and then actually do it, which he did. And he's like, I'm so grateful for that one simple question, who do you know? Because it's led me to so much business. So my question to you is, there's got to be a right way and a wrong way to ask for referrals. Like you're obviously highly experienced in referral based business. If you're going to teach somebody today listening on this podcast, like, okay, how do you ask for a referral? When do you who do you ask for a referral from? How do you ask for it? And when is the right time to ask for it?
That's a great question. So I'll start with first what I mentioned earlier about the giver's gain. Sometimes the best way to ask for a referral is to give a referral. So I really believe that. And I see it every single day, is that those people like, oh, you've been sending me business. I want to find a way to send business back to you. That's one. Secondly, so oftentimes, I always tell people, if you see someone with a BNI pin or BNI, if you don't have an amazing experience, I want to know, because the experience is our brand and our trademark. And so, you know, part of what you want to do is, if someone says, man, that was a great experience, I'm going to say thank you. And you probably said this 20 dozen times. The best way you can thank me is if you know somebody who I could help, I would love to help them. I think that's very important. And you need to be I also believe the best way to ask for referrals to be very specific. Let me tell you what I'm good at and how I could best help people. So that's another one. So I am a licensed plumber, and so I grew up in the home services world. And if I were a plumber and I was talking to someone and they're like, you took such great care of my home, thank you so much, I'm so glad, because that's really important to me. And if I could help any of your friends and family, the best thank you is you're sharing with friends and family. And what we do really, really well is we're really good at figuring out lines that move slowly. So if you have friends and family that have homes with big trees in their front yard, they probably have some roots going in those lines. And I can come out and put a camera down the line for free and just let them know. And so now I'm very specific, and they're thinking about that. Instead of just like, let me know if you have any business or anybody, very specifically. Though I think the more specific, and for us, we have an app that tracks everything. So I can go in, I can pull, I have a referral for someone, I can look them up, I can send it to them, I tell them, how hot is the lead and who the person is. And I can tell my friend, I say, Todd, I just sent Sam, all your information. I've used him before. He's great. He's going to take great care of you. But I think it's when you ask for a referral, people ask like, what's too pushy or what's too salesy? I think when it's just this general, like, hey, I could use you to send me business, instead of, I would love to help people that are important to you to take good care of them. I would love to do that. And here's what I do really well and how I could help. And if you have that, and make it, I also think you have to make the referral really easy. Because like now you think of me, but how do you reach me? How do you get that through to me? Now I carry business cards that have a QR code. Now, and I'm like, all you have to do is click on that QR code. And you instantly can get through to me.
Wow. Yeah. I'm curious. Do you guys keep statistics as far as like what percentage of people in business ever ask for a referral versus those that build their business completely based on referrals? I'm curious if you guys like, I mean, I can take a guess. I think it's a tiny amount of people that do, but I don't know. I mean, given that you are what you are as an organization, I'm assuming you guys keep some kind of statistics on that.
Well, we keep all kinds, we have data. I always tell everybody, we are Main Street and we have data that will, like, I can tell you, like, this industry refers best to this industry, micro and macro, both ways. And we know within our chapters, like, who gets the most referrals and who does that. But what I don't know is in the whole world, if there's 100 people, what percentage ask for referrals? I can tell you that I'm the chair for the International Franchise Association, and I attend a lot of networking events. I don't think 1 out of 20 times somebody asks for a referral. It's stunning to me. And it was a lesson for me. You kind of talked about the fact that you didn't ask. I'm in the referral networking business. That's what I do for a living. And as I was doing work with franchisors, what we do helps franchisors a lot, because when they have new franchisees that need to start in a market, we can really help them. I know 80% of the franchisors out there, and I was meeting with them and I wasn't saying, BNI can help you. I wasn't doing that. So, it's, I know that one of the sales statistics was 87% of the time a salesperson won't ask for the close. And I think of
Yeah.
that as a referral. We don't ask for the close. Let me help you. I can help you. And I now have added that. There's not a franchisor I talk to that, and I don't, the way I look at it is, you think about, are you being pushy or salesy? I either believe or don't believe that somebody becoming a member in BNI will change and improve their business. And I do, our vision is to change the way the world does business. If I believe that, I'm committing malpractice by not offering up our services. And I think, if you believe you're a fantastic realtor and you take good care of people, and your sweet spot are people that, homes that are 300,000 to 600,000 in these neighborhoods. If you do that really well and you believe it, then by not asking for the referral, you're committing malpractice, because you could do a really good job for that person. When you believe that it's not salesy or pushy, it's, hey, I'd love to help you. I'd love to help your friends and family.
It's wild you bring that. I've been to so many different mixer social functions, and you see people like the guy who comes up to you and I don't have any business cards on my desk, but he fans out like 10 business cards. He goes, "No, take them all." I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm good with one, brother. I don't need to take 10 because
yeah.
I'll take 10 and then 9 of them are going to go in the trash can. And I want people to really pay attention to this degree of specificity with, when you're meeting somebody and you're able to identify, who their ideal, who like, what are you best at? And then
Mhm.
if I was
Your
asking
core
you questions, I'm like, well,
competency.
yeah, who's your bet? Like, who's your ideal customer? Oh, somebody who's breathing and has a wallet. I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, no, honestly, if you're, wow, you're really interested in knowing what that is. Well, actually, I love working with people that are getting into their very first home, which in our market is generally between 200 and 450,000. That's my sweet spot. I love first time buyers. And it's just my fun zone, versus the person who's like, I only deal with a mil two and above. And
Right.
then you can be like the matchmaker. Like I've always done that at mixers where I'll meet the mortgage guy and I'm like, well, what kind of, are you commercial, residential? He's like, well, I do residential. I'm like, well, what kind of, where's your sweet spot? Well, I mean, kind of, let's 700,000 to $1 million house, like nothing above a million typically. And then I meet a realtor and it's like, oh, that's their sweet spot. I'm like, have you met John? John, have you met Sally? And then I
Yeah.
put them together, and you mentioned this, and this is so huge, like givers gain, right? The more you give, the more you
Yeah.
get. So
It
now
comes
I didn't
back.
ask for any business there. I'm just coming in here and I'm like, cool, I did the introduction. They're never going to forget the Falcone introduction. So my question is, and because I know people do the
I love
card
that.
fanning out. What are some of the most common mistakes that people make when asking referrals, and then how can they avoid them?
So you touched on something. One of the basic premises of good marketing is targeted. What, you don't say, I'm going to hit everybody, because nobody can afford to hit everybody. The biggest company in the world still has limited resources. And if you're a small, mid-sized business, you have to market smartly and precisely. So the more targeted you are, the better. And it doesn't mean that they're not going to send you somebody outside of that, but the more specific and targeted. And so when you're asking for a referral, first of all, what I most often see is people are apologetic about it and sheepish about it, instead of understanding, like, I ask every business person I've talked to, I'm like, what's your core competency? Every salesperson, tell me what you do better than anybody else. And if it doesn't roll off your tongue, then you don't know what it is yet. And if you don't know what it is yet, I'm not sure you know how to ask for a referral. So first, understand your core competency. Like at BNI, it's small businesses that need to increase their business and don't have a lot of marketing dollars, but are willing to invest the time. And if you're not willing to invest the time, you shouldn't join BNI. Very, very specifically to talk about that. It's the same thing. So what is your core competency? And either you believe what you're going to do is going to really help someone and make a difference, or you don't. And if you don't, that's what you have to fix first before you start asking for referrals. And then not being sheepish, understanding that what you do, what your core competency is, being very specific in it. And then lastly, going back to the giver's gain, give something first. My hope is that when anyone interacts with me, they leave with a nugget or something. They have an experience that makes something about their life better. Because there's a book called Mastering the Complex Sale, and it talks about you want to be the expert and you want to give first and give information first, share first. And like you said, no one will ever, forget an introduction by you, a Falcone, introduction. I love that. And that's part of your core competency. And then lastly, I think when you're asking for a referral, you have to make it easy. So like I said, I have a QR code. I literally so I do two things. I say, we are a values-based company. These are our values. And I maybe about 20% of the time someone will say, can I take a picture of that? I'm like, sure. And then I say, if you'll just click on this QR code, I'll be in your system right now, and you can reach out to me anytime you need. It would be my honor to serve you and help.
Where does
And
that QR code go? What happens if I
so
click
what
on
it
that?
does is when I click on the QR code, what it does is it creates uh, a card for me that looks like, it's just pulling up, it looks like this, and they can save that into their phone.
Oh, beautiful.
And
Wow.
so it has my phone number, and it's the phone number I answer. It has my
Yeah.
email address, it has my website. So there's a button right here that says save to contacts. It has my picture. By the way, so that's the headshot that the person in my member did of me. She
Yeah.
did a lovely job. I never liked pictures of me. And I click on it, and now I'm in their phone, and it's easier. And so I think one of the mistakes we make is we're so vague, and then part of our vagueness is how to reach me. Because now I do think about it, but like, I'm gonna have to wait till the next time I see her. I'm gonna have to go into something and look at a past email. I don't want to make it hard for that person.
Well, that QR code is brilliant. It's like, well, I know, well, not for me personally, but I know because I've taught this enough. People are so lazy when it comes to like taking the contact information,
Yeah,
typing it in, and
I don't want
adding
to
it to
do
their
that.
contacts.
Yeah.
Not only do they not do that, one thing that I've done for like 30 years, and I'm shocked at how few people do this, is if I met you, wherever that might be, like as soon as I add, and I will be, I'm like, oh, I want to talk to Mary again. Cool. I'm adding your contact information, where we met, how you referred to me, what we talked about, what your favorite color is, where you went to school, blah, blah, whatever I
Mhm.
thought was important, because my brain's not good enough to remember
I
all the
put
things
it,
that came
you
up
put
in
it in like
conversation.
the notes.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
brilliant. That is brilliant.
Been
And
doing
also,
that
I'd like to
for
point out,
decades.
this is highly branded. What you can't read because of it says changing the way the world does business, which is our vision and very focused on what we're doing. And down below, it has things that I can help them with. Like if you have questions about franchising or networking or small business, I do a lot with the SBA. So it has in there, here's where I can help you. And so, and also I'd like to point out, and this, I do this all the time. You can see a pic, you can probably see that my pin is there, and how I look
Yeah.
here is how
Yeah.
I look there, so that they remember, oh yeah, I met that lady with the long gray hair. She had the big BNI pin, and they remember. And that's part of making it easy for them, because I do think people generally and genuinely want to help one another, but we make it too hard for them to help us. We're asking for the referral and we make it too hard.
Yeah. Or people are just locked in fear and afraid to ask for, we know that salespeople over 80% are afraid to ask for the order. Some of them are completely afraid to prospect. And then, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to ask for a referral. Like you got a happy, satisfied customer that loves your stuff, that's had amazing results.
And they're telling you that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's, so it's funny. When I asked you the question earlier, it's uh, like when's the right time to ask for a referral? So you got
Every
somebody who
time.
every time. Well,
Yes.
the funny thing is, like, if I have somebody who's like, and I don't really want this to ever happen in my business, but somebody had a terrible experience with me. Like, we pride ourselves on taking exceptional care of all of our customers. So this really never happens in my business, but like I have somebody who's super pissed off at me because they had some bad experience. I'm like, hey, well, who do you know that might want
Yeah,
to have the
yeah.
same experience you had? So,
That would be true. But you know what? That is also a time that you can fix it. I used to own a cookie franchise. I had multiple locations called Cookies by Design. And we sent out a bouquet once that was all tulips, and a couple of the tulips were yellow. And the lady sent back and said, oh, those tulips were garish yellow. And I could have just said, well, you didn't tell me not to do yellow tulips, or what's the deal with it? But I didn't. I was pretty new in business, and I was like, oh, we'll fix it. I sent her a bouquet. I sent another one. We did it in a way that made her look like a real hero. She sent me business for years. And it wasn't the mistake that was the problem. And it's rarely the mistake. And so I also think I'm a believer that sometimes your misfires are your chance to create your most loyal customer.
yep, 100%. Like, I won't I won't go the whole story, but I was at a restaurant one time and it was horrific service. Half the restaurant was empty. It's like a 5-star restaurant. It took us forever to get anything. We had to go up to the bar to get a second glass of wine for the ladies. It was like it was pathetic. And I'm not a Yelper, but me and my buddy are about to Yelp. We're on this double date and we're about to Yelp the heck out of this place. And then all of a sudden, this dude with like sleeve tattoos, white button down shirt, all rolled up, comes up and he goes, "Can I see your bill?" And I was like, yeah. And he hands the bill and he just crumples it up. And he goes, "Look," he goes, "I'm the GM. I was in the back. This is not how we do business. I'm so sorry. This should never have happened. Everything is covered. Any desserts, anything. And by the way, here and here." And he hands us these 2 envelopes. And inside of each envelope was a $250 gift card. And it's
That's
just like all of a
amazing.
sudden you just brought this up. Like you can take, like, every business makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And if you make the mistake, okay, what do you do when you make the mistake? Do you just go, oh, because the guy that we were talking to was like the manager at the time. We were like, hey man, what's going on? He's, well, what do you want me to do about it? Was basically his response.
Yeah.
And then the GM came up and he handled it properly. And needless to say, we definitely ended up dining there again and again.
Yeah,
So
and you probably ended up being and so like when you say, when is a good time to ask for a referral? Well, part of asking for a referral is believing that what you can do will make a difference. So if you haven't made a difference for that person, then you don't believe, so that's not the time to ask for a referral. And if you didn't, then you fix it until it is time for you to ask for a referral. that, because, you go in the next time you have this great experience and you tell the story. Now you're, I'll bet if, in your town, you've sent people there because of that wonderful
Oh
experience. So
yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
think the
For
service
sure.
failure is ever the problem. It's how we handle the service failure. And if I ever, if you, referred somebody, they're like, I didn't have a good experience. I'm like, well, tell me about it. So, because I want to help be part of fixing that. I'm going to go tell this person, hey, here's the experience that they had, for that very reason. But, I've had people say, I don't want to, I have somebody new in my chapter and maybe I want to wait a while before I'm sending them business. I'm like, it's a fraction of a percentage of people who do a poor job on that. And so don't lead by this fraction of a percentage, lead by most people are going to serve and do well, especially as you get to know them. They're going to take good care of that customer. Don't work off the scarcity mindset, work off the abundance mindset.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. So I want to ask you a question for people that are like, maybe just beginning to get into, or maybe haven't even really gotten into the referral game. They're out there. Every new business is either a cold call or an ad that they ran, and they're not even yet generating any business out of referrals. Which, by the way, guys, I'm just going to tell you, if you're not generating referral-based business, you're missing out on the golden goose that's going to lay all of the golden eggs. It's
I
way easier
agree.
to get somebody who loves you, loves what you did, to bring, and refer you business than somebody who's a total stranger and you're trying to get them to do business with you. So what advice do you have for somebody who's just starting out to build a strong referral-based business?
Yeah, so I'm going to lead by example on everything I just said to you. So my ideal referral is somebody who is a small business owner just getting into business and doesn't quite know how to ask. What we do is we teach you how to ask. So if you know anybody who is a small or mid-sized business, especially somebody who's coming new into business and trying to figure out how to do that, especially somebody who's a millennial and grew up behind keyboards and now has a business and would love to learn the art and science of good networking, go to bni.com, put in what zip code you're in, and it will show all the chapters. You can say, invite me as a visitor, it's free to attend, and look and see. And I say that in the most sincere moment I can be in, is that I know we can help that person grow. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, you have friends and family who know you. You should be asking them to refer you, because so start with your current network. Who do you know who knows you, who trusts you, and can refer and say, this is what I'm looking for. If you know someone, again, make it easy for them. Here's a card. Here's my QR code. Here's how you can send it. Here's this very easy way. Like when I say go to bni.com, up at the top, it says, I want to visit a chapter, invite me, click on it and do it. So make it easy for them. And then lastly is understand, if you're new and you're trying to figure out like, I don't know what my core competency is yet. It's like, where do you want to start? That will be the start of your core competency. Like you might say, I'm a realtor, I'm going to start in mid-size homes. I'm not going to start selling $3 million homes. I'm going to start at $500,000 homes or $300,000 homes and say, look, I'm looking for people who want to buy those. First-time home buyers. A first-time home buyer doesn't know the realtor experience. So that could be my core competency for a while, as an example.
Yeah. So that let me shift gears for a second, and because you brought up BNI, I'm going to say this because I know enough about BNI where, and I know some people have got the taker. I'm not saying any of you guys that are listening or watching today, you guys of course are not that, but just in case somebody stumbles onto this podcast and they're like, man, I want to see how much I can get, because we know there's people like that. If you choose, which I would strongly encourage you to go, there's most assuredly a BNI chapter in your backyard, and probably, depending on the size of the town, multiple. So it's not just one BNI in the city. So I want you to think about this. This is a place for you to go add value, to contribute. It is not what can I go get today? Like I know sometimes I've heard people go in, I'm like, okay, what leads can I get from here? And then they're going to try to run off and go to the next BNI chapter. This is just like we're talking about building strong foundational relationships. you choosing to become part of BNI is you choosing to make a commitment to the platform. You can't just go in there, because I've worked
Yeah,
with enough people in this. They're like, I went to this BNI, I went to the next one. I'm like, that's not
yeah.
how you do BNI, bro. You
No,
don't do
it's
it
like
that way.
saying I went to these gyms and looked at all the equipment and left and I'm not in good shape. Well, because
Yeah.
you didn't use it and put in the time.
And I think one cool thing is, and you tell me, because I mean, you're the CEO of the company. So let's say we're dealing with like a a decent sized town, population of 1 mil or more, and not. I mean, I live in 100,000 population town. I know that there's BNI here too, but and there might be 5 or 6 BNI chapters, and sometimes we go into a place where you vibe more well with a group of people. It's like, wow, the energy I feel with this group based on me as a personality, what I do as a company is more suited for this group versus this group. So how can a person go explore that? Like,
Mhm.
let's say there's 5 BNI chapters in a single
Yeah.
town and they've got
But
5 different options. How do they do
yeah,
that?
well, first of all, I'd say if there's 1 million people population in your town, there could be up to 25 chapters just by our normal
Wow.
size and how much population to create a chapter or a member. And so there could be as many as 20, 25, and so even in some areas more than that. What I recommend is you go visit a couple of chapters because each chapter follows our very disciplined and rigorous approach, but each chapter has its own personality. It's like kids in a family. They're all in the same family and they follow the same rules, but they all have some different personalities. And so I find that the chapters, there's slight differences in personality. So what I do is I'd go in and I'd pick 3 ones to go to. You can visit every chapter twice for free before we would say, okay, it's like going and checking out a gym on that.
Yeah.
So I would do that and see which one. And there's a couple things. It's important to pick a chapter that is not too far from you because you need it to be in your everyday routine. One of my favorite books is Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he talks about you have to create the environment that creates good habits. You're not just going to wake up motivated. So, like when I gave up sugar, I took sugar out of my house because if I had it in my house, I was going to eat it. So create the environment. So pick one that's like on your way to the office or close by the office or close to your house. Don't if it's a 30-minute drive, you're going to be more likely to miss it. So that's the first thing. Second thing is pick one where you go in there, you're like, I like these people. I would like to hang out with them because you're going to spend time with them. Because for good networking to work and good referrals to work, you have to know the people and you have to have a discipline about that. And then ask them, because you're also going to have to pick a chapter that doesn't have your industry in it. So you're going to want to look and see. That's be my recommendation. And I do have a few people, we launch chapters all the time. And a lot of times it starts with a realtor or an insurance agent that says, all the chapters here already have real. I want to have a BNI. I'm like, well, let us help you launch a chapter. We can help you with that. And especially the ones that would love to like have a say in what their chapter looks like. We can help them with that as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Um, let's talk about the difference between uh, internet or digital networking. We all know a few years ago, the world experienced something where we couldn't hang out, and everybody kind of moved to Zoom. And even me, I'm a professional speaker, and it's weird. We're recording this on Zoom. I'm on Zoom all the time, but it's not the same kind of deal as me speaking for 1,000 people in an audience and being able to walk through the audience versus 1,000 people on a Zoom. Let's talk a little bit about like what are your thoughts on digital networking versus in-person networking?
So we do have virtual chapters and hybrid chapters. They're a small portion of our business. And when COVID hit, we had all virtual chapters. We converted everyone to virtual. I would talk to a member in Germany on one of my trips, and he said, I joined BNI 2 months before COVID hit. And he said, the reason I'm still here today is because I joined BNI. He said, because I had some place to go and talk to people, and we were sending business to one another. So we do, and there are some people that virtual works for them. We prefer the in-person because there's just this connection. Even the virtual ones will get together like for they'll get together in person every now and then. So what I would say about that is nothing will ever replace the face-to-face meeting. It's, I had read this really interesting report about how we were all experiencing Zoom fatigue or video meeting fatigue. When you're in a meeting with people, you're not sitting as close as you and I look like we're sitting to each other. You're not sitting like that. You're in a room, you can see what's going on behind them. That's like, you have a very interesting backdrop. I try to make sure I have an interesting backdrop that we're not like in each other's faces. You can dart your eyes around the room, you look past them, and you're taking in everything. You're looking at their body language, and they're more focused. And you and I both know that when you're on Zoom or on any of those, Teams or anything else, you're multitasking. One of the reasons I work hard to keep my hands in the screen is, one, so I don't multitask, and two, so the person that's working with me knows I'm not multitasking, because it's so easy to do. And, all the studies, MIT did a great study on multitasking. It's not humans, we're not capable of multitasking. Something is suffering when you're multitasking. And so if you do virtually or you do via, that's fine. But if you never get in person, especially if you're in businesses that you are going to serve someone in their home or think about a photographer, a massage therapist, a plumber, a realtor, an attorney. I could just go on. You have to get face to face with them. So if you don't ever do that, I think you're missing out.
Yeah. And I think, it's funny. My wife was on a Zoom the other day and she's like, whoever said it was a good idea to just sit there and eat in the middle of a Zoom? Like, I'm sitting here, okay, it's still morning for me, so I'm sitting here still, sipping coffee, but like
Great.
she's just like, I mean, it's they sometimes they forget about their etiquette. Like, you're coming to a training that I'm doing, and you're laying on your couch with just never a good angle, your triple chin from down
No.
below, eating chips off of your chest. I'm like, no, not on my
Yeah.
Zoom. And so I think you got to think about the etiquette of if we're gonna meet, virtually, which is fine. I get it. There's a time and a place for that. But you're right. It's never gonna replace, like, I mean, this is super cool. Like, you're across the country from me and we're sitting here eyeball to eyeball, which is great.
Which I love.
And yeah, and this is as close to eyeball as eyeball versus, us actually sitting in the same room. But there's still little things that are missing. I didn't get a chance to shake your hand or give you a hug. It was great to meet you and we finished or whatever. So let me ask you this. I'm going to kind of shift gears and do another question. What makes a person referable? Like, how
Wow.
does a person, again, like, I mean, a pretty straightforward question is like, okay, how do I become somebody that's referable? Like, that somebody's willing to be like, yeah, I'm gonna send you business, man. How does somebody, again, I know we're going down to some pretty fundamentals on that, but I want to make sure we're covering the bases with the audience that I've got.
Yeah, we know the fundamentals are the fundamentals for a reason. I remember listening to somebody who was a performance coach for Kobe Bryant, and he talked about, he started his morning practice at 5:30. And so this guy showed up at, his name is Alan Stein. He showed up at 5:20 thinking he was going to beat Kobe there. And Kobe had already been there an hour, and he was practicing the basics, dribbling and passing.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're the best in the world. Why are you practicing that? And he's like, because that's how I become the best in the world, is I'm brilliant at the basics. And so, good health has very basic tenets, and good marketing has very basic tenets, and good business has very basic tenets. I think sometimes we get bored with those basic tenets, so we decide to add all these complicated things on. So I commend you for having this conversation about being brilliant at the basics. I think that's really important. When someone's, we have this list. When someone joins a member, they say, I agree, I will do these things. And these things are like, if business is referred to me, I will take good care of this person, that I will be honest with them in my dealings, that I will be timely with them in my dealings. I think about if I'm referring somebody and they take 2 weeks to get back to this person, I have a problem. If they don't do their best work, I have a problem. If they said they were going to do A and they do C, I have a problem. And and it's good business. It's basic good business, but we sometimes forget it. We forget that in our growth, and I've been part of companies for years that we 10x our growth regularly. And the way you 10x growth well is, one, you have a set of values that you grow the values along with that within the organization. And two, you understand the customer experience. The reason I'm a member, because our members are our customers, and I want to always understand the customer experience. I tell people, if I was CEO of a hamburger company, I would eat a hamburger every day. I'm so glad I'm not, because it would not be good for my spine. But I need to understand at that experience at every level. So a lot of our senior executives were members because it's part of understanding that experience. So that's what makes you referable, is because you did what you said what you're going to do, and you did what you said you were going to do. You responded in a timely way. You took good care of the customer, and you made me proud for referring you. That's what does that. And sometimes, I remember when I had my cookie companies, when we got to the third shop, I had a customer who called me and she said, I'm just only going to come to the Austin location. She didn't know I owned the third shop because it's not as good. And I'm like, I own this. What do you mean it's not as good? And I had gotten too far away and removed from understanding how the customer was experiencing it. So I had to double down on that.
Well, it's interesting. You use the term customer experience, and I don't want this to go above people's heads. So there's a difference between customer experience and customer service.
Oh, yeah.
Customer experience is like, okay, what happens when they become a customer of yours? How are they treated? What's the onboarding process that takes place? Like, just, how does that customer feel? Are they being contacted? Are they being followed through with? Are they being instructed on how to use X, Y, or Z? Are they being checked in on to make sure everything's going well, or whatever, depending on the kind of company we're talking about,
The
versus
service
customer
after the sale.
service?
Mhm.
Yeah. Customer service is like, oh, it's a problem. I can guarantee you, none of you who are watching me, you've never called customer service, say, hey, I just want to say you guys are doing such a great job. You call because there's a problem. And if you're running a company, you got to think, okay, how do I mitigate? How do I reduce the demand on our customer service team? Well, you provide a higher degree of customer experience. And so, I mean, as I'm thinking out loud, I'd be like, okay, what do I do with every new customer that comes on board? How can I, and this is fundamental again, somebody decides to buy from me. Okay, well, what happens? Like, I had a guy one time, so I moved to Scottsdale, Arizona, and I bought this beautiful house, had a pool, and my kids were tiny at the time and they didn't know how to swim. So what's one of the first things I'm doing? I'm putting a pool fence around my pool so my kids don't drown. And the guy comes in and he installs the pool fence, does a good job. And I'm sitting there. And again, I'm already in a referral-based business and teaching people. And I said to the guy, I'm like, oh, great job, And I was like, appreciate it. I'm like, well, how do you build your business? And he goes, oh, referrals. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, so I go, what do you do with me, and what do you do with your customers after you're done? He's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, do you have any he goes, because he said I build my business on referrals. And I go, so nothing happens? I ended up getting the answers. Like, I'm never going to hear from this guy again. I said, look, man, your name isn't even anywhere on this pool fence. Like, it doesn't say Dave's Pool Fence Company. So I guarantee you, when somebody's like 6 months from now and they're like, hey man, who installed your pool fence? I'm like, I don't know, some pool fence dude. I have no idea.
You
And
can't
so
remember.
let me also tell you, I got
That's why I
one
would have
guy.
put my name in your phone and said, if you have a problem, I'm there. You reach out to me anytime.
Yeah. But again, it just goes to show how many people are out there in business that, and I'm not trying to be insulting, they're just clueless, and they're not, and it's so basic. It's like, I just sold you something and I'm never going to hear from you again. Like, I mentioned my realtor, there's been one mortgage guy. I've done a lot of loans in my life.
I
Out
bet.
of every loan officer or mortgage person I've ever dealt with, one guy, Pat McMasters, is the only dude that's ever maintained contact with me out of every single, like, I mean, I just did $1 million loan or a $750,000 loan. You don't think I got friends that are going to do a $750,000? How do you not follow through? Hey, everything go okay with the purchase. Like as soon as the loan funded, forgot about me, moved on to whatever. It's
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah, and then I
So
also think, thanking people. One of the things we do is it's called Thank You for Closed Business. We thank our referrals. We're very, one of our values is recognition, and we recognize that and acknowledge it and thank that. And I think it's important to do that, I really, really appreciate that. I have a great realtor. We bought dozens of properties from her, and she always thanks us for referring business to her. Like you said, you didn't hear from that person, she makes it easy and checks in with us and sees that we're doing the right things. That we have the things we need from her,
yeah, absolutely. So Mary, like you've been super successful in business. You're the CEO of the single largest referral generating organization on the planet. I don't even know how you guys found me, but I'm so stoked that you did. I
Oh, we
saw
are
the email
too.
come in. I'm like, oh, cool. I mean, I love interviewing amazing people, but it's not very often I'm interviewing C-level executives. I'm gonna have to think more about doing that. So, what, going directly into your personal success story in business over your career, what are some of the things that you can, because not everybody becomes a C anything, let alone the CEO. So that's a high level of business success. If you were to look back at your personal career in business, in or out of BNI, like what are some of the decision points or mindset or strategies, or just generally speaking, like looking back, okay, Todd, here are the things that I can directly say contributed to my consistent year in and year out success as a business professional?
Well, first I would say, I've always followed my heart. And because I have to feel good about what I'm doing. For me, I am very driven to making a difference. I had a good friend of mine when I was considering this role who said, it's time for you to move from success to significance. And that really stuck with me. It resonated really deeply with me. And so I've always followed the things that I thought, where I should be. And I people don't regret the things they do, they regret the things they don't do. And so, I started out in the Marine Corps, and the Marine Corps, it was hard, and I had some tough days, but it taught me how to be resilient. It taught me how to, as a leader, not be all over the place, because leaders don't get the luxury of being tired or crabby or complainy or yelly. You're supposed to create stability for your organization. So that taught me a lot there. Then I was a business owner, as a franchisee, and it taught me a lot about how hard entrepreneurs and business owners work. And I got to control my own destiny, and that's wonderful and horrible all at the same time.
Yeah.
You've been controlling your own destiny for decades, and it's hard work. And to understand that, for me, the single biggest thing is, I love what Winston Churchill. He has some of my favorite quotes. He said, you make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give. And I wanted to serve our country. I wanted to build and serve a team. I wanted to build and serve a franchisor. I want to build and serve, a franchising networking company. So for me, it's about serving others. I had a friend of mine who said, you shouldn't look at people for what they can do for you. You need to look at them for what you can do for them. That changed. And in your 20s, it's really hard to see that, but it really changed the way I interact with people. And I didn't say yes to this job because it would look good on the resume or because I wanted the title. I said yes to the job because I thought I could make a difference. And it just changes how you look at the world. And, Simon Sinek has the book, First Start with Why. And you should understand your why statement. My why statement is to inspire business leaders to reach their hopes, wishes, dreams, and goals beyond their wildest imagination. That's why I get up in the morning and am excited about what I do. It's why when I go to bed at night, I have a level of satisfaction. So I encourage, don't think about like, I need to check this off my list. I need to be in this company or have this title. I never sought this title. I actually never thought I'd have this title. What I sought was to serve others and see where I could make a difference. And what ironically is it made a huge difference for me, but I didn't realize that's where it would take me.
Wow. It's like your response is about serving and giving, right? Not versus let me see what I can get. And I get like even you referenced, 20-year-olds. It's kind of hard. It's like, oh, I'm just trying to get by here.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to like start off my career. But like you grew up in, I mean, being in the military, clearly there's like a lot of discipline. I mean, you gotta show up, you gotta push
Yeah.
yourself, you gotta push yourself past multiple
Even when you're
limitations,
afraid.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And so that obviously created amazing habits for you. And then this whole idea of serving, I just think is so beautiful. I'd say for you guys that are listening, how can I be a better servant? And I know sometimes that's hard because you're like, well, I need to, I'm still not where I need to be yet. And those of you that are involved in network marketing, let me explain something to you just in case you've forgotten. Okay. If you're involved in network marketing, the only way for you to win is you have to help other people succeed. You can't be
Yeah.
like, oh, what can I get? And that's honestly, that's truthful in any business. We say it all the time in network marketing. It's like, oh, I got to, Jim Rohn said, if you could help enough others get what they want, you're going to get what you want. And yeah, that's constantly referred to in the network marketing space. But I could right now, I'm not going to, but I could give you countless examples of how that applies to every single business is helping people get what they want. And Mary, man, I mean, first of all, this has been awesome.
I
It's so
thank you
crazy
for
because
what a great conversation. I thank you so much for inviting me here. And I do want to say this, Todd, in the spirit of givers gain and what we give, I would like to ask you, what can I do for you? How can I help you in reaching your goals?
well, let's chat about that after we stop the recording. I'm not
Great.
entirely sure yet. I will say, first of all, this has been a super fun.
Same.
I did not like we had no contact before. Like your whoever
Yes.
was your setter, and I'm showing up. I'm like, I hope this lady's awesome. I'm sure she is. She's the CEO of BNI. But
You
what a
never know
great
what you're going to get, I'll
conversation.
bet.
Yeah. Well, most of the people that I interview, I've had a chat with them at least for a
Mhm.
few minutes before we end up doing it. But super fun. Great chunks of great information for the audience. You guys, if you're not using BNI, go visit a chapter. It's bni.com. And I know again, a lot of you guys are that are following me that are involved in network marketing and direct selling. I know a ton of direct sellers that are involved in BNI chapters that have done exceptionally well. But again, they're going in like my friend Jordan, who I know you haven't had a chance to meet. But Jordan and Nate are super tight. If you go there with
Nate's
the concept,
amazing. Nate Dominguez is an amazing
oh,
human being.
they're both super fun. Actually, we were in the Dominican Republic for Jordan's 60th birthday, and we were all hanging out down there. But Nate and Kelly are awesome. So, in fact, I'm gonna text them after we're done and say, hey, guess who I just had on my podcast. So, again, Mary, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And you guys, if you need to go listen to this again, get your journal out, take notes. Some incredible value. And again, if you're going to achieve greatness in your life, the more you help other people, the more you have a servant's attitude, a servant's heart, which Mary has like her whole career. Like I asked her a question, and the one thing that she said is like, hey, I just always been this individual that decided that I want to serve. I mean, going from the military to what she's doing now as the CEO of the largest lead sharing networking organization in the world. Go pay BNI a visit, you guys. And Mary, thank you again. It's been great having you on the show. Thanks so much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, Todd.